lots of you here. There's nothing quite like a live webinar, I think, and having a full audience, it just makes that a bit more fun, and always interested to see, the Q&A, the questions, that kind of thing. So really excited. And Lo, your first live webinar here at Fingo.
Yeah.
Good. Right. So for those of you who are just coming in and haven't been here from the beginning, we're going to allow a few more seconds before we begin, just so that everybody can get comfortable. What I can at least do is start with some of the welcoming and the housekeeping rules so that you all know what's going on. So I'm going to at least begin that. It's 2 minutes past 11 and welcome. So hello and welcome to the Fingo webinar. We're very thrilled to have you here, and this is the session under the bonnet of a Biddable Campaign, Decoding Performance Marketing. So I'm Marissa Freeman, I'm the Director of Client Success at Fingo, and my role is to ensure our services and products meet your needs, drive your business success. I have about 20 years of experience in project management, marketing and information management, and I'm here to share valuable insights with you today.
Hi everyone, I'm Lorenzo. I'm the head of performance at Fingo. I lead our performance team covering both Biddable and SEO. And with my international experience, because as you can understand, I'm not English, I help our team and clients run successful cross-platform campaigns. I'm passionate about performance marketing and believe in a relentless focus on quality and continuous testing.
Thank you so much, Lo. We're really pleased to have you here. So it's fantastic that we have so many familiar faces. I know many of you that have signed up are our existing clients and audience and partners, but I also know that there are lots of new people here today. So those of you that have been here before, you'll be familiar with our team and know that Ginny, our marketing executive, is here. She will be managing the chat box. So any questions you have, Ginny will save them to the end, but also if you've got any technical issues, do let her know and she will try to assist you. Before we begin, please turn off your camera and microphone if you haven't done it already. Feel free to use that chat box for the Q&A, and we will get around to them at the end if we've got time, and we can get started. So let's begin by identifying who this webinar is for. This session is designed for marketing managers, marketing execs and teams who are already working with agencies and just want to feel that they have the language and tools to fully equip themselves to have good, intelligent, well-informed conversations with their agencies. It's also for marketing teams with new campaigns that aren't maybe meeting expectations. And again, they need to kind of try to understand why, or at least be equipped with the language and questions to challenge their existing performance partners with what's happening. Also for organizations who are hesitant about working with, digital experts due to previous bad experiences. And maybe they're thinking about tipping their toes in the water, but they're still sort of plucking up that courage and want a little bit more knowledge. And of course, brands who have internal teams who are doing everything in-house, but they want to seek deeper insights and make sure that they're not missing any opportunities. So the purpose of this webinar is to equip you with the understanding, as I said, the language and the tools to fully understand how biddable advertising works so that you can have those informed conversations and think more strategically when you're managing your own campaigns. This is part of a 3-part series, so I'd really encourage you to come to all of them. This starts with, I suppose, the basics, and then we move deeper into things with each part of that series.
Thanks, Marissa. Shall we just check if we covered the expectations? Are there any other challenges facing our audience today? We want to just ensure we are addressing your specific challenges. So please leave a comment in the chat if there are any other issues you are facing. This helps us to tailor the session to your needs.
Definitely, thank you. So just a bit about us, because we've talked about you, but for those of you who are new, I suppose you'd want to know what makes Fingo an authority when it comes to biddable strategy and delivery. We are a full-service integrated digital marketing agency, and we've been established for 21 years now. We support businesses to grow through digital marketing, such as online brand building, lead generation, and conversion optimization. Our performance marketing team is fully Google certified. Our optimization score puts us within about the top 3% of digital agencies in the UK. We have a direct partner relationship with every major marketing platform, and we work with a full range of clients from SMEs all the way up, global enterprises across various sectors. And we're integrated, which means our Biddable team, our SEO team, designers and developers, and even account managers all work together around an integrated strategy for our clients. Talking about today's agenda, we're going to cover several key areas to help you understand and optimize your digital marketing efforts. First, we're going to dive into the navigation of complex metrics and methodologies. Then we're going to discuss budget management so that you can maximize your return on investment. We will also explore data-driven optimization techniques and look at effective landing page strategies to ensure that you're boosting conversions. Following that, we'll discuss how to optimize creative assets for better engagement. And finally, we will cover measurement and optimization best practices. Each of these topics is crucial for running successful digital campaigns and ensuring that you're getting the best results possible. So let's get started.
Right. So let's start, Marissa, with a question. What do we mean by biddable? Because, we really do mean bidding, right?
Actually, yes, Lorenzo, we really do genuinely mean bidding. Kind of imagine it like an auction house, but rather than a physical auction house where you've got somebody with a hammer saying going once, going twice. This is a digital environment. And a biddable campaign is ultimately where you're purchasing ad space through a real-time digital auction process. So advertisers bid against each other, for ad placements, and those ad placements will generate impressions, clicks, and ultimately conversions. So really common platforms for campaigns include Google, Instagram and Facebook, which we now refer to as Meta because they're linked, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, but there are lots and lots of platforms that most people will be familiar with. And each one of them allows advertisers to target very specific audiences and bid on keywords or placements in real time.
That's right. And one thing I think is that many people listening will think maybe also sponsored posts are the same as biddable advertising.
Yeah, we do hear that a lot. Many people come to us and say, well, we've been putting money behind our social media, we've been boosting our posts or sponsoring our posts. What makes this different? But actually a biddable campaign is very, very different from a boosted post on social media. So a boosted post can be really useful in, amplifying existing or organic content to a broader audience. It will definitely help. But a biddable campaign is specifically designed and targeted to achieve very specific performance outcomes, driving conversions or sales, driving traffic to your website, and of course it's always on. The benefits of a biddable campaign would be the ability to attract the right customers as an always on method and drive targeted traffic to your site. Like a clothing retailer might bid on a keyword such as a summer dress and making sure that they appear in search results and attract any customers who are actively looking to make a purchase for a summer dress, for example. So it is quite different.
Oh, and now that we've made a bit clearer about what biddable is, let's focus on the performance element of a campaign, because a performance campaign is a form of online marketing where actually advertisers pay based on how well they are performed. So in the biddable world, this means focusing on measurable results like clicks, conversions, sales, whichever is your actually measurement. Examples of performance in biddable include paid search. Once upon a time, we were calling it pay-per-click, so PPC, social media, paid social, and the campaign might involve targeting specific keywords on Google Ads, for example, or targeting criteria on social to drive traffic to a landing page. Metrics in a performance campaign include obviously click-through rate, so CTR, return on investment, ROI, and conversion rates, based obviously on the actual objective and your final goal. These metrics can help you to understand how effective your campaign are and where adjustments are needed.
So you've just said that no one's really saying PPC anymore, and you told me before that that's very 90s. So I couldn't help but acknowledge that because it was quite interesting to me.
Yeah, it's true. We all are used yet to say PPC. However, now it's called paid search only.
Okay, well, actually, like many of our clients still call it PPC. So I guess we're all a bit 90s. So if you've been calling it PPC this whole time, you're not alone. So, paid search, yes, we do use PPC interchangeably. It is a model of online marketing. And, just as I was talking about, it's where advertisers, they pay a fee each time one of their ads is clicked. So essentially, it's a really cost-effective way of buying visits to your site rather than trying to earn those visits organically or use other types of methods that are less transparent in terms of the pricing model. Common platforms, of course, for paid search are Google and Bing. And a good example would be, you run an online store selling running shoes and you create a search ad, targeting keywords like buy running shoes. So when someone searches for those keywords, they enter buy running shoes and then they see your ad and they click on it, you pay hopefully a very small fee for that click. So that really is the goal of PPC. So let's look at some real life examples of successful biddable campaigns that can be across any kind of platform. So example one, I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done, but I'll anonymize our clients for obvious reasons. But we've used Google advertising for an e-commerce brand, bidding on targeted keywords related to their products. By bidding on some of the same keywords as their competitors and even their competitor brand names, as well as optimizing their ads and optimizing their campaign landing pages and creatives, we helped to increase their sales by 50% over a 4-month period. In another example, we helped a local business run ads through Facebook, and that targeted very specific geographical areas because of their delivery limitations. We use really engaging creatives, very, very visual with very strong call to actions. And that resulted in not only a 30% increase in the B2B wholesale leads, but also a 30% increase in the direct online sales on the B2C side of things as well. Another example, a large-scale property developer came to us hoping to secure off-plan sales for a new development that they were building in Greater London. And by focusing on, strong blended social media with paid search, like a strategy that went across multiple channels, with, of course, geographical targeting and optimization, they were able to take deposits on 30% of their stock within the first 2 weeks of their campaign being launched. So we can see how powerful these can be. Another example is a digital marketing agency want to build a community of marketing leads for their webinar to come to and attend. So they run a B2B campaign on LinkedIn, targeting their ideal audience, and they've been introduced to lots of new marketing leads as part of that webinar community. Of course, I'm talking about this here today. So these are some great examples to show how effective biddable campaigns can be when they are well targeted, well managed, and of course, powerfully optimized. So what we're going to do now is delve into the different methodologies behind biddable advertising. Understanding these methodologies is really important for optimizing your campaigns and achieving the best results. And we're going to cover different types of advertising across, paid search, social media, and programmatic. We will start by thinking about the marketing funnel. And I know that you're all very familiar with the marketing funnel, but it's quite important that we just touch on that now because we will keep referring back to it in this webinar. So the marketing funnel, of course, is our framework used to visualize and understand the journey that a customer will take from the initial awareness stage, right at the top of the funnel, so their awareness about the brand or product, right through to making a purchase decision. And many of our clients will hear us talking about this a lot because it's very relevant to the digital strategy design. The marketing funnel is relevant outside of digital marketing, but within digital marketing, we use various platforms and bidding strategies to create that full funnel within the digital ecosystem. So we have our awareness stage, that's the broadest part at the top, representing the initial contact with a potential customer. This is where you attract a wide audience and make them aware of your brand or product. Consideration is where we narrow down in that mid-funnel. It's where potential customers who are aware of your brand consider your products or services as options to fulfill their needs, but they might not yet be ready to buy or make an inquiry. Conversion is right at the bottom of that funnel, and it's where the audience takes action. So they make an inquiry, they sign up to a newsletter, or they make an online transaction. We do then have the spout in the funnel, which is the loyalty stage. That is really the very narrowest point, and it represents customers who have made a purchase and they continue to engage with your brand, hopefully becoming not only repeat customers, but brand advocates. In digital marketing, we usually refer to this as integrated marketing communications, or simply integrated strategy. And that way we ensure that all forms of communication and messages are carefully linked together, creating that seamless experience for your audience across various channels. It's also very effective to do things that way. And we ensure that each marketing effort works in harmony with the other to complement the whole strategy. We also consider what you might be doing outside of digital, traditional PR, email marketing, organic social, and so we should have a strong awareness of that, so we understand how every single piece works together.
Okay, so now let's start looking into the advanced methodologies, and let's start with paid search, PPC, if you want. First and foremost, let's tackle the keyword match types, because we spoke about the fact that we are using keywords to target people. So the first type of keyword is the broad match, which reaches a wide audience by showing ads for searches related to your keyword. An example is you type in shoes and you'll find different types of shoes. Then there is phrase match, which targets searches that include the phrase you designated within the terms. Here we are narrowing down to, for example, running shoes only. The thing you need to know, by the way, is that phrase match is going to be excluded soon from your Google campaigns, so you will remain with the other match types. The last one is exact match. This shows ads only for searches that exactly match your keyword. In the end, we finish with the exact model. For example, you're searching, I don't know, for a Nike Pegasus model, you'll find that one. Alongside all of these, we need to remember about negative keywords and the negative keyword list, which is quite important. In fact, those prevent ads from showing for specific terms, improving the targeting accuracy. Another important note is about the ad types. The first one is the DSA, Dynamic Search Ad, which, as you can understand from the name, uses your website's content to automatically generate content and target relevant users, matching searches to the site page dynamically and filling the keywords gaps. Then there is the PMax, the Performance Max type of ad. This is an ad that automates within an automated campaign optimizations across all Google Ads channels, not just search. So this is search, it might be YouTube, Gmail, Google Maps, and Google My Business. This uses machine learning to adjust bids and placements for maximum performance. In the end, the most common and also the most manual one, the responsive search ad, RSA. This type of ad allows you to create ads that adapt to show the best performing combination of headlines and descriptions. The platform, in fact, mixes and matches the provided text to optimize for your goal. Another decision you might need to take when setting up a paid search campaign is about the bidding strategy. It can be manual, the 90s one, or automated. Manual is, as I said, the old way and provides control over individual keywords, bids, but requires more time and a lot of expertise. The automated one, which is, by the way, the best practice nowadays, uses algorithm to adjust bids based on performance data, optimizing for specified goals like conversions or click-through rate or maximizing clicks. This, in the setup time, goes near to the ad scheduling and geotargeting, which are quite self-explanatory, as you can imagine. The scheduling allows you to control when ads appear, while geotargeting allows you to target specific users in specific locations, enhancing relevance for local or regional campaigns. In the end, the targeting. Yes, we said that we usually use keywords here, but you can add also audience targeting, which uses demographic and interest data to reach specific groups, or in the loyalty, mainly in the loyalty part of the funnel, you can run a retargeting element, which shows ads to users who have previously interacted with your site, encouraging them to return and obviously convert.
It's incredible what you can really do with Google search to create already in just one channel such a lot of complexity, nuance, strategy. It's wonderful there. So let's explore some of those methodologies we've just talked about in social media advertising. Now, when we start thinking about social media advertising, we do think about a lot of things, obviously, before we start the campaign, and decisions are usually made in forecast. So by the time we get to this, a bit like what we've just discussed with paid search, by the time we get to actually, running that strategy, a lot of decisions have been made, but we, of course, will always optimize in real time and change strategy and change tactic if we have to. Targeting options, just like with paid search, we can use extensive user data or, unlike keyword data from paid search, we'll user data, but still for that precise targeting. The difference is this time we can use things like demographics, so age, gender, location, interests, behaviours, even really specific life events, so a wedding, children starting a new school, new pets or moving home. So that's where I would say that social media differs rather than being responsive to those keywords. Geo-targeting, again, allowing advertisers to focus on very specific locations. And then we also have an element of what we call hyper-targeting. So platforms like Facebook and Instagram can benefit from a layer of targeting criteria, such as using Experian taxonomy data for really detailed audience segmentation when we're thinking about, earning brackets and things like that. Ad formats, this is really where we're seeing a strength in the methodology with social media. We have different types of advertising formats and their respective strengths. So carousel ads allow showcasing for multiple images or videos in a single ad unit, which is useful for storytelling and highlighting different product features. Video ads capture attention with dynamic content, often leading to really high engagement rates. And stories ads, they are full screen vertical ads that appear between user stories, which are very effective for those quick immersive experiences. When we think about bidding strategies in social media, we're really thinking about what we're trying to achieve and then, looking at what bidding strategy would ultimately achieve that most effectively. So some common ideas are cost per click. So ensuring that each click in your ad is as low as it can be, and that's the strategy that you want to prioritize. And that's really, really commonly used for driving traffic to websites, of course. Cost per mil, CPM, is the payment you make for 1,000 impressions. So it's ideal for that top of funnel raising brand awareness. How cheaply can the most people within your ideal customer profile see your ad? A cost per view is fantastic for video games, as you can imagine. And CPA is usually more of a bottom funnel, but it's something worth talking about, the payment you make for each conversion action, ensuring that you've got cost efficiency there. We love social media platforms for, sort of goals such as brand awareness, so aiming at increasing visibility and recognition of the brand, engagement, although we typically see that goal in boosted posts and organic posts. It's really important that we consider that in the mix, and those goals are about boosting interactions, likes, comments, shares and video views. And then for that slightly lower and mid funnel, for the consideration stage, traffic, so bringing people to a landing page and increasing the number of sessions on a website. We do also use social media for conversions, which is driving specific actions such as sales, sign-ups, downloads, events, ticket sales. Really, really wonderful conversion tools within social media platforms as well. And we can also develop very advanced targeting techniques, so lookalike audiences, which is where platforms such as Facebook create lookalike audiences based on your existing customers, helping you to reach new people that share similar interests and mimic profile of your best customers. And retargeting, so showing ads to users who have previously visited your site, engaged with your content, and made a purchase, so we're encouraging to come back and do the same thing, that loyalty part of the funnel that we've just been talking about.
Right, and now the last discipline, programmatic display. Programmatic display is a specific type of digital display that originates, as you can imagine, from the offline advertising, automating the media buying process of an ad space, making the process efficient and data-driven. Advertisers here use algorithms and software to purchase digital ad space in real time. This can be through the real-time bidding, which is a type of programmatic ad buying where ad impressions are bought and sold in real-time auctions. It allows advertisers to bid for impressions based on user data, ensuring ads are shown to the most relevant audience. And all of this can be used on platforms like the Trade Desk, which offers a self-service access to a vast inventory of ad space across multiple channels. It can be something like DoubleClick, that now, again, is called Google Marketing Platform, that integrates ad serving, ad measurement tools for efficient programmatic buying. Or, for example, another very famous one is MediaMath, that provides robust tool for data-driven marketing, allowing precise targeting and optimizations. Those platforms can be split between two types: the data management platforms, DMPs, and the demand-side platforms, DSPs. The DMPs collect and organize data from various sources, creating detailed audience profiles for targeted advertising. The DSPs instead enable advertisers to buy digital ad inventory across multiple exchanges, using data from the DMPs to inform bidding strategies. Here again, you can have different targeting options. Contextual targeting, which places ads based on the content of the page, ensuring relevance to the user's current interest. Behavioral targeting, which uses, obviously, as you can imagine, users' past behavior to show ads that align with their interest. And then lookalike targeting, which finds new audiences similar to your existing customers, expanding reach efficiently. And in the end, I'd like to, because the programmatic side is a bit less tangible, I'd like to talk about the benefits of the programmatic advertising. These are for efficiency, precision, scalability, and transparency. Because obviously, the programmatic display can automate the ad buying process, saving time and reducing costs. It can use a vast amount of data to target the right audience, improving ad relevance and effectiveness. Can help advertisers to scale campaigns quickly across multiple channels and platforms, and provides detailed analytics and reporting, enabling continuous optimizations and improvement. I'd say we covered already quite a lot, and I hope you're not yet really bored about all of this. Now, I think it would be great to see how all the elements we have discussed so far can work together in a multi-channel approach. In fact, combining different channels like social media, search engines, email marketing, and what else ever, enhances your reach and effectiveness. Each channel should support the overall marketing goals and work together to guide customers through the marketing funnels. Consistency in messaging and branding across all channels ensures a seamless customer experience and reinforces brand identity. But let's start from the most important thing, the target cost. If you can set a clear target cost, this will be crucial for budget management and ensuring that your campaign remains cost-effective. This includes determining the cost per acquisition, if you are on direct response, CPA, that you are willing to pay for each goal and the overall, obviously, budget for your campaign. Then let's move to the audience identification. In fact, is essential to identify your audience for creating effective strategies. Using detailed demographic data, interests, behavior, and purchasing history to segment your audience and tailor your campaigns is actually very important to reach the most relevant users. You can utilize for that tools like Facebook Audience Insight, LinkedIn demographics, but mainly you can start using Google Analytics to gather and analyze audience data. With all of those details, you can identify the platform and types of campaign. This can be based on direct response, so actions actually, or the brand awareness, the above the line element. In the end, in the mix, it's quite important to look at optimizations and reporting. In fact, it's really important to regularly optimize your campaign to improve performance. However, please don't stress your campaigns every day. Optimizations, in fact, involve making some smaller adjustments based on real-time data, such as, for example, pausing an underperforming ad, adjusting bids, or refining targeting. Again, don't do all of those together, because otherwise you won't be able to report and understand what is working, what is unfortunately not working. Reporting, on the other side, provides a broader view of campaign performance, helping you to identify trends and make obviously strategic decisions. Report should always include key metrics such as click-through rate, conversion rate, ROAS, ROI, or any other actual metric that you think are relevant for your campaign.
Thank you. That's so thorough and exhaustive. Thank you so much, Lo. So when we start thinking about the campaign strategy that we've been talking about on the previous pages, I talked earlier about developing that methodology way before we actually begin the campaign itself. Decisions and ideas are usually made as part of the forecast process, and that's what's shared with our clients for their agreement and understanding. So platforms will generate forecasts. We'll go into those platforms and generate them, and we do typically need quite a lot of information to input so that we can generate those forecasts. So geo-targeting, audience demographics, keywords if we're thinking about something like paid search, and typically we'll do that in a full discovery session, asking about all elements of a campaign strategy and a business plan, which can last at least an hour. So if you are working with an agency or doing this in-house, do think about how thorough you need to be planning and the sorts of details you need to be thinking about when shaping that strategy. What are the sorts of things we're thinking about? What's your budget and how hard can we make it work? And how many people will see the ad for that budget, the number of impressions. If there's a conversion campaign, what are you happy to pay for each one of those customer acquisitions? Your CPM for the brand awareness campaigns. Is it a holistic strategy that's integrated across different types of channels? And what are the holes, strengths and weaknesses in the plan? And make sure, as Lo has just said, that we set very clear KPIs. And thinking about KPIs, and just want to be really clear about what we mean. What do KPIs mean within this biddable performance marketing context? KPIs, of course, stand for key performance indicators, and ultimately they are a quantifiable measure of performance over time for a specific objective. I can't stress enough that you should be really putting KPIs at the heart of your campaign. They should be a key feature of how you measure success for, not only the business and the marketing plan as a whole, but those specific channels and campaigns. And of course, they should be the central talking point of all of your performance meetings that you're having with the people who are running your campaigns. Advertising metrics as a whole, they measure the progress of your ad campaign, and they give you a really crystal clear picture of where you're succeeding and what needs to change. I would look at metrics in general as a navigation system for your business. All KPIs, of course, are metrics because they should be measurable, but of course, not all metrics are KPIs. So, target CPA might be a great KPI, but the impression share could be another important metric to help you understand how things are doing, but not necessarily a specific goal for that campaign. So if you're feeling like you're working with an agency that give you a lot of numbers and overwhelm you with information, that can be really helpful. You don't need to understand it all, but you might want to humor that. But ultimately, what you do need to have is those agreed KPIs, and always think about measuring progress against those. And if they're not performing, that's when you might look at other metrics to try to understand what's going on. But it should always come down to that.
Thanks, Marissa. Right, so because we spoke about KPIs and metrics, shall we make a clear example of metrics and KPI in the biddable funnel? Because that will help understanding where everything stands. So let's start from the top of the funnel, the awareness bit. Here, you can understand that ideal platforms might be Facebook and Instagram, Meta, because are excellent for broad audience reach with their extensive user base and sophisticated targeting options. Another one is YouTube, which is perfect for engaging users with compelling video content, capturing attention effectively, and obviously display network, including GDN, so Google Display Network, which allow you to reach a wide audience across various websites. Here, your metrics about costs will be dictated by CPM, cost per mille, so paying for 1,000 of impressions, or CPV, cost per view, which is paying for video view, ensuring engagement with video content in platform. While your targeting here could be broad, so targeting a wider audience to build brand awareness, or can be based on lookalike audiences. It can expand reach by targeting users similar to your existing customers. Finally, KPIs. Here you can measure reach or track impressions based on the type of platforms you're using to understand how many users have seen your ad or the visibility itself of your ad. Then you can monitor video views to evaluate engagement of your video content. You can use impression share to determine your ad's competitiveness. You can assess frequency to manage ad fatigue and optimize exposure. And then you can evaluate engagement through interaction such as likes, comments, and shares. After this, there is consideration. Here, ideal platforms are on Google that can help on different levels with demand gen that leverages, for example, machine learning to drive interest and so on. Or, for example, search, which helps to capture intent-based traffic from users actively searching for related products or services. You can use YouTube as well, because this type of platform remains a powerful tool for engaging users with video content during the consideration phase. LinkedIn as well on the B2B marketing can be really effective, targeting professionals by job title, industry, or company size. And Pinterest, which is always the last one, but shouldn't be, which is great for visual discovery and inspiration, particularly for lifestyle and retail brands. Here, strategies, as you can imagine, being about traffic are around CPC, and so cost per click and cost per landing page view. And the targeting will be mainly based on interests. So trying to reach users based on their specific interests and researches. In terms of KPIs, here we definitely track link clicks to measure traffic driven to site, landing page views, which is the other side of the same metric, which is when actually we evaluate the effectiveness of your landing page, and we measure click-through rate to actually understand the effectiveness of your ad copy and narrative and the targeting. In the end, there is conversions, the bottom of the funnel. Here, obviously, as we already said, Google search being are crucial as platforms for capturing high intent searches, while, for example, Meta, you can retarget users. Amazon, instead, is ideal to direct product sales within the Amazon marketplace. However, look after this because something new is coming. In the end, programmatic platforms, those can enable optimized targeting and bidding for conversions. Here, strategies are based on cost per acquisition, so CPA mainly, or cost per lead, where actually you focus on the cost for each desired action to be completed, such as, for example, making a purchase or submitting a form. Here, in terms of targeting, you might use a retargeting element where actually you show ads to users who have already seen an interest in your product. They maybe visited your website, but here you encourage them to convert even further. And then in market audiences, targeting users actively researching or comparing products in your category. Again, and lately, KPIs. Here you can track leads or sales, depending on your goal. You can use ROAS, so return on ad spend, to measure the revenue generated per pound spent on ads, and you can measure your conversion rate to understand the percentage of users who complete the desired action after clicking on your ad. I'd say obviously those are the main stuff. However, here there is a set of relevant and common metrics which are frequently discussed when talking about biddable performance and strategy. Rather than explaining all of them, we'd like to ask you to please leave a comment in the chat box about any metrics you'd like us to discuss, and we'll send over email a full list of definitions that you can use for next discussions. Let's wait now then a couple of moments for anybody to request more information, and then let's proceed.
Thank you, Lo. We've got a couple of pages of these actually, just some relevant metrics here that we usually talk about in a lot of performance meetings, and the next slide as well. I just want to give this enough time because of course in the Q&A at the end there might be something that you really want to dive into, but we will email these over with some more. Here's the next one. Again, I'll just give this a bit of time. It might be that you've heard them thrown about a lot, or you'd like to explore something a bit more depth. So if we do have time at the end, we can answer any of your questions or send them over to you. But I would say these are some key phrases and metrics that you should have at the tip of your tongues and be confident in if you have any biddable campaigns running. Right, we'll move on. I hope you've captured them all. So we've talked about metrics a lot in KPIs, and I guess what you might be thinking is how would we use those metrics, not so much in measurement, but actually in the strategy development? How do we use metrics to develop the plan? So we'll start with thinking about and defining those KPIs. We've talked a lot about this. Like I said, I can't overstate the importance of having goals that are measurable at the start of any of this activity. So you'd identify that key performance indicator that align with your business goals. And of course, you want to be regularly monitoring progress against those KPIs, or even the relevance and appropriateness of the KPIs to make informed decisions and adjust the strategy as needed. Really avoid vanity metrics. Focus on metrics that actually truly, reflect the performance of your campaigns and your goal, such as, I don't know, a conversion rate or the cost per acquisition or return on ad spend. And avoid focusing too much on metrics that may look really impressive but don't really correlate with business success. So if, for example, you're running a bottom funnel direct response campaign and it's all about conversions, you might get, really swept up with the amount of impressions or even likes on your social media, but they may not have much to do with what it is that you're trying to achieve. And that's something that sometimes practitioners you're working with may blind you a bit with, but like I said before, do focus on those relevant metrics for you and those goals. Accurate tracking setup. Please do ensure that your tracking mechanisms are set up correctly so that we capture all of those relevant data points, install conversion API and enhanced conversions for comprehensive tracking of that user journey, and of course your conversions. Proper tracking enables effective use of machine learning, first-party data, but also so we can measure campaign efficacy. Do compare the platform data with Google Analytics 4, which tends to be lots of brands' ultimate source of truth if they're using cross-platform performance assessment. I think it's important to look at both, your GA, and then compare with those individual platforms. First, you're looking for things like any changes or inconsistencies across each of those platforms, but also just checking things like consent mode is on, and making sure that you're doing due diligence there. Really keep a vigilant oversight over the performance KPIs and any other significant metrics to understand the impact on the campaign, and just make sure that your tracking strategies are up to date and functioning optimally. It's one thing not to meddle too much with the optimization, but checking that everything is running well and that things are working. That's something that you can check really, really regularly. Conduct A/B testing. Continuously test different variations of your assets, landing pages, copy, to determine what is working well for your audience. And please do use the insights to then refine your campaigns and make changes and improve performance. There's no point having A/B tests if you don't do anything with it. So many of our clients come to us and they've done some A/B testing, but they then didn't make the necessary change as a learning from that. So it's something that we really encourage you to do. analyze the actual customer journey through your website and from different sources and mediums. That analysis will help identify new opportunities and optimize your strategies. And please allow lots of time for machine learning. It's really common to become excited and get carried away and think we've had our campaign running for 2 days, we haven't had any leads yet, maybe it's time to switch it off or change the strategy. We say up to 6 weeks for machine learning, certainly 2 to 3 weeks. And don't be surprised if nothing much happens in that first 3 weeks. That is not necessarily a reflection of how your campaign will perform. We've seen really interesting things happen where it's been almost dead still at the beginning, and then it's like you've turned on those leads, like turning on a tap. So please don't sort of hold too much by what happens in the machine learning process, because that is exactly what it means. That machine is still learning.
Right. So now that we cleared a bit of methodologies and metrics, let's focus on how exactly does strategic budget management work in Biddable. In this section, we will explore how to effectively manage your budget to maximize your return on investment, and we will cover key strategies for setting and adjusting budgets, analyzing spent opportunity, and utilizing quick wins and tactics for optimal performance.
Okay, so good budget allocation. Let's think about it. Strategic budget management. Let's focus on some key principles. Once again, we're coming back to that KPI, starting there. But I'm talking about this when it comes to budget. So we're thinking about something like our cost per acquisition. How much are we prepared to pay for a lead? And then really compare that with profitability and the average order value, for example. And that's when we can start offering you some guidance on what we would expect. And then maybe think about things like return on ad spend. We call it ROAS. In other words, how much money do we want back for every pound invested in this advertising effort? There are other relevant metrics as well, but we would always start there with some budget metrics. Establish reasonable costs. So determine that reasonable cost for achieving your KPI. And that would, of course, involve understanding your profit margin. And you can work with your agency to think about what it should cost you to acquire a customer. Obviously, somebody selling a chocolate bar would expect to spend a lot less on a customer than somebody selling a penthouse. And so CPA could look like anything from 50 pence to £200 or more, depending on your sector and your product. So that's something that's really important to work out accurately. Do set a ceiling cost though. So do ensure that you've got that maximum cost that you don't want to exceed, and that would also be another core KPI, and it will help to prevent overspend and ensure that your campaigns remain profitable. Having said that, some of working out what your ceiling cost would be, but also thinking about what your competitors are also prepared to spend on, a customer that they're bidding for as well. So that's something to consider. And yes, do consider profit margins when setting a budget, ensuring that your campaigns are not just driving volume, but positively contributing to that bottom line.
That's correct, exactly, because the problem is that these platforms are here and are made to make you spending more and more and more. So you need to actually keep an eye. And that's why you need to analyze the spent opportunity. What is that exactly? If you regularly reassess your media budgets to ensure optimal performance, you will see somewhere some gaps between the clicks and the volume of research. In the first graph, you can see at the end of the image a white space between the black and the blue lines. That is actually your sweet spot. And this relates perfectly to the second graph. In fact, if you don't spend enough on certain moments, you might encounter missed conversions. So you can now understand how vital it is to identify missed conversions, which are the gaps where potential customers are dropping off, because that will be basically the moment where you will miss something and your CPA, so your cost per acquisition, will rise.
Thank you, Lo. That's very helpful. Now, what I would say is I know some of this might feel daunting and complicated. We've covered quite a lot already. If you're running a campaign in-house, there are some quick wins that you can action now to ensure that you're broadly covering the principles we've just discussed up to this point, without the need to complete a Google practitioner qualification. So you can start doing this today. Right, one of the things is saturate your main platform. So take your key central platforms, for example, if your campaign involves brand awareness and you've, for whatever reason, I can imagine, decided that Meta would be the right platform for you, do ensure that you've maximized the potential of your primary platform when it comes to budget, before you then start thinking about allocating a budget to a new campaign. Whilst we love cross-channel campaigns, that's only when you have saturated all of the potential in your primary platforms. Before then, you want to do one or two things really, really well rather than 10 things poorly. Do analyze that spend to opportunity continuously, look at that ratio and identify areas for improvement and allocate budgets more effectively. Ultimately, if these campaigns are profitable and they're bringing you revenue, a good ratio, I'd say, 4:1, for example, then there's absolutely no reason to be scared of investing further budget in them, because the idea, if they're working, is that they should generate even more revenue. Review past performance, look at historical and live performance data to guide your budget decisions and strategy adjustments. Use campaign budget optimization, so leverage tools like campaign budget optimization to distribute your budget efficiently across those different campaigns. There's also a shared budgets tool, so you can use that if necessary to optimize spend across multiple campaigns that are targeting similar campaigns goals. Regularly review your acquisition to ensure that they are meeting the profitability targets and that CPA doesn't start going haywire and changing without you keeping an eye on it. And of course, automate your campaign management. So create rules to enable or disable campaigns based on those performance metrics that you've decided are important. Ensure your budget is always directed towards the most effective campaigns. These are things that you can be doing right now independently that will really, really go a long way. So in this next section, we're going to focus on how to leverage data for optimizing your campaigns. Obviously, to us as a performance marketing agency, our view is that data-driven decisions are significant in improving your campaign performance and return on investment.
That's correct. And by the way, you need to know that this is one of my favorite bits. In fact, as you can see here, data is God, content is king, and distribution is queen. This statement highlights the importance of high-quality content, effective distribution channels, and data-driven strategies in modern marketing. I know it's a bit bold and may hurt someone and some feelings, sorry about this, but helps understanding that while everyone has their expertise and preferences, data remains objective. It is crucial to base decisions on data to achieve the best result. That said, I believe there are three different angles of this data relevance. In fact, you've got the platform perspective, where actually data help machine learning algorithms to optimize campaigns, leveraging efforts for better performance. And all major platforms, by the way, now use data-driven attribution models, making data essentials for accurate performance tracking. Then you've got client's perspective, so your perspective potentially, where actually data-driven decision-making allows you to review processes and offers to discover new trends and make informed adjustments to strategies. And then there is the agency perspective, where actually we can remain objective. We can provide insightful analysis and use them as a memory of past performance to guide future strategies. Now that we know data are so important, how we match them with the latest trends. Latest trends, in fact, are machine learning and AI, and are trending since a while now. But let's see, what does this mean? Machine learning and AI rely on data-driven attribution models to understand the effectiveness of different touch points in the customer journey. Machine learning can enhance A/B testing by providing deeper insights and faster results, while AI can be leveraged to identify opportunities for campaign expansion based on performance data and market trends. However, please ensure that your data collection is always GDPR compliant to maintain user privacy while optimizing the user experience. Another word that we used often recently is data-driven strategy. Data-driven bidding strategy leverage historical performance data to optimize bids automatically. The more data available, the better the algorithm can predict and adjust bids to meet campaign goals. An example is if past data shows that an ad performed better during weekends, the algorithm itself can increase bids during those times to maximize actually the conversions and performance. Choosing bidding strategies that align with your specific campaign goals will also help you getting better performance with a lower cost. If your campaign is focused on driving sales, for example, a target CPA, so a target cost per acquisition strategy, might be the most effective. But, and this is a big but, ensure that your budget aligns with those chosen bidding strategies. Because some strategies, like for example, maximizing conversions, may require a larger budget than a maximize clicks one to be effective. So regularly review and adjust your budget based on performance data to ensure optimal spending. If your campaign, for example, is generating a high ROAS, so return on ad spend, consider increasing the budget to capitalize of positive performance. In the end, be prepared to adjust your strategy based on real-time data and changing market conditions. In fact, flexibility is key to maintain effectiveness in campaigns. An example is, if a particular keyword is underperforming, adjust your bid or reallocate budget to higher performing keywords to maximize your actual ROI and performance. To ensure that actually your data-driven bidding strategies are measured correctly and you actually report and optimize based on those.
Thank you. We've got a couple of minutes left before we have would come to an end. We still have a little bit, so we're going to go over, but what I thought we'd do, because we do have a couple of minutes left, I'm not sure if we've got it. We will carry on to the end, even if we go over a bit. But if anybody has to go, they've got a meeting. Does anybody have any itching questions? I'm not sure, Ginny, if any have come in. Otherwise, we will just plod on.
Yeah, we've had one from Steve, actually.
Okay.
How do you decide on the budget allocation between different platforms for a new campaign?
Okay.
So, shall I take it, Marissa?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd say when deciding on budget allocation, we first define our campaign objective. So depending on brand awareness, lead generation, direction of sales, whatever. We then analyze our target audience and where they actually spend most of their time. How we do that is using GA4 and analytics data. We also then project the potential performance within platforms using the platform tools and trying to understand the trends and the opportunity. This data will help us to allocate our budget to the platforms more likely to achieve our goal. However, as we said before, be prepared to be flexible because you might start with a certain approach and then you realize that actually performance are not coming that way. And so you might need to change your budget allocation.
Thank you, Lo. That's really, really helpful. So landing page strategies, which I rushed to get to before, and I promise it's not because I'm obsessed with landing pages, although they're actually much more important than I think a lot of people realise when they are putting on their ads. So we're going to talk a little bit about thinking about the improvement or suitability of a landing page to ensure that we're increasing the conversion rate of visitors who arrive from your paid ads. So on the screen to your right, you'll have some lovely examples of landing pages that have worked incredibly well for ad conversion. But we meet brands all the time who have, really significant marketing budgets when it comes to the paid side, and it will all be poured into the advertising. And yet when we look at the actual landing pages, many ads, they'll direct to very poorly optimized landing pages or websites. And it's such a shame because it really wastes all of that energy, strategy, everything we've just talked about, if once your lead gets to the page, they're not inspired or they just don't convert. So, you know, the impact of a poorly optimized landing page can lead to a high bounce rate, loss of revenue. There's that misalignment sometimes between the message on the ad in terms of the call to action or the brand voice compared with what a lead or a customer and audience member then sees once they get onto your site. They might be confused and then basically feel that there's a disjointed messaging and come away. So it's really important that we address the gaps in that landing page optimization so that you're not ultimately wasting your ad spend. Now, we will always audit, you know, landing pages when we're putting on a biddable campaign, and we will look at things like site speed and the core web vitals. This ultimately will look at how fast that speed loads to ensure that really smooth and fast user experience for the person from the platform onto the website. You'd be surprised how a split-second delay might discourage somebody, make them distracted. They don't even get as far as going onto that web page. User experience is very important, so we will evaluate that overall user experience and ensure that the landing page is easy to navigate, visually appealing, has the right messaging and positioning, the call to actions. And we do have another webinar that talks a little bit about that, so we'll direct you to that so you can look at that kind of thing in greater detail. We want to, of course, ensure that there is tracking on that page so that we can verify that the people we're driving to your site and that convert, that is attributed to the right place. You don't want to think that a campaign is performing when it's not or not performing when it is. So that's really important that that is tracked carefully. So there are lots of things that we can do with the landing page to help boost all of your efforts in the platform. So let's think a little bit about optimizing the creative assets for conversions and thinking about a strategic approach that aligns design, messaging, and the user experience to drive your desired actions.
Yes, in fact, Marisa, we have some recommendations for our guests today. As you can all see here, you can use those 8 quick wins to actually see improvements to your performance. Leveraging all the placements and rotating assets regularly is important, as staying on top of the latest trends and providing narrative that is simple and easy interpretable. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So some of the things that we'll be thinking about is, you know, consistency. So crucial for building a strong brand presence across all of the different platforms. So whilst we want to make sure that the ads are adaptable, depending on whether they're display, you know, on Meta, that kind of thing, there should be that consistent brand presence. Consistent messaging, of course, making sure that your messaging aligns across multiple channels and platforms while still being native to the platform and your website itself. There should be visual consistency, so your uniform colors, fonts, logos, and imageries, they're in line with your brand guidelines. You know, maybe similar color palettes, logo placement for both desktop and mobile, and ensuring that that is in line with the campaign itself. Cross-platform integration is important, so integrate those campaigns across desktop, mobile, and social media, and ensuring that your ad creatives are adapted for the different devices. So optimizing for the desktop and the mobile views and the display networks, but without changing those core elements that we think is very important. Brand recognition is something that you should never leave behind, even when you're dealing with a bottom funnel campaign. So please ensure there is that consistent brand recognition at any stage in the funnel. You know, consistent tagline, for example, that logo placement again for the immediate brand recognition. So yeah, we can see that cohesion and consistency are very, very important when thinking about the assets.
Perfect. And now, hopefully, finally, is really the last bit, and we can wrap up just checking on optimizations and how to measure their effectiveness. In fact, as we said several times already now, a good process involves repetition. Consistent monitoring, testing, optimizations are key to achieving a long-term success. So phase 1 is really plan and build. Carefully plan your campaigns, build them with clear objectives and strong ad creatives. Phase 2 is launch and optimize. So launch your campaign, and continuously optimize them based on real-time data and performance insights. And in the end, evaluate and enhance. Evaluate the results and enhance your campaigns by scaling winning elements and refining strategies. And then come back again, because obviously that will repeat.
You cut out a bit there, Lo. Sorry, what was your last point?
About coming back.
Oh, I see, coming back round to the beginning and starting again. Absolutely,
Exactly.
because it's a continuous process, actually. Absolutely, it's really like a cycle of activity. So let's just finally kind of wrap up some of the themes that we've been talking about, these 4 topics. It is, as Lo talked about earlier, when you're looking at optimizations and things to be thinking about, recommend that you don't change everything together. And if you do make any changes, that you just do them one by one so you can see what's working and what's not. But the things that you want to be thinking about when we're looking at optimization, especially with the machines, is budget management, ensure that your budget is aligned and that it changes and adapts to your goals and what your competitors are also spending. Audience targeting, continuously refine your audience targeting based on what the performance data is telling you and what you know about your own business and core audience. Creative optimization, please do regularly update your creatives. It could be as often as every 3 weeks, but it doesn't have to be. And your copy, test out new creatives and keep your campaigns fresh and engaging. You know, high quality creatives play such a crucial role in campaign success. Platform utilization is also something to think about. So leverage the strengths in different advertising platforms to achieve that comprehensive reach and impact. Each platform offers a unique advantage. That's something that you need to be thinking about as well. And of course, allowing that optimization through machine learning. So using those machine learnings to optimize the bids, targets, and ad placements with you as a partner, you know, and this will also reduce ensure that you've got that reduced CPO over time. So these are really important elements when thinking about monitoring, changing and adapting. But like I said, please don't do them all together. Make a tweak or a change, spend some time, watch what happens, and then go back in again. It may be frustrating, especially if you're dying for leads and wins, but ultimately you do need to know how things are going to work for you in the future as well.
Perfect. And here again, we'd like to offer you some tricks or nerdy tricks that you can use in the future. Definitely start using benchmarks. Always compare your performance with the sector and the location and their benchmarks to actually gauge where you stand in the competitive landscape. An example can be that your industry standard click rate or CPA benchmark are below or higher your actual campaigns. This might need an adjustment. And keep an eye on the frequency of your ads. High frequency can indicate ad fatigue, which can negatively impact your performance. So obviously, as you can imagine, if the frequency is too high, consider refreshing your creatives or adjusting your targeting to avoid oversaturation. On paid search, monitor impression and click share to ensure your ads are reaching and engaging your target audience, because obviously the lower impression share you have, the more it's possible that your bids are too low or your budget is insufficient for your campaign. So your competitors are spending way more than you. Then another important thing we spoke about already is about tracking. Ensure that your tracking strategies adhere to your IS standards by implementing obviously tools like consent mode, enhanced conversions, and conversion API. It's really important this is all done because it's proven by platforms that this improves performance by roughly 15 to 30% each of them. So let's put an eye on that. And last but not least, where applicable, utilize automated rules to enhance campaign efficiency, reduce the manual workload, and quickly respond to changing marketing and market dynamics and performance trends. This doesn't mean letting an automation do the job for you, but it helps you to be smart. As you know, we are in 2024, so if you can focus on analysis and strategic, is way better than spending time on little things.
That big picture thinking. Yeah.
Sorry?
That big picture thinking. Like.
Exactly, because you can, with those, optimize your campaigns and ensure that you stay ahead of the competition and achieve your marketing goals. So that's actually why those are little things that can help you.
Thank you, Lo. That's so helpful. And that brings us to a natural end into our Q&A segment. I'm not sure how many of you are still with us. Thank you so much for those who are. But Ginny, do we have any more questions from anybody?
We do. We have one from Ben. How do you see the future of digital performance marketing evolving with new technologies?
Oh, wow, that's not just a small question, is it?
No,
I'm chickening out. Would you like to answer that, seeing as you are ahead of performance?
Yeah, that's no problem. I'd say, first thing first, the future is quite exciting and interesting with the integration of AI and machine learning. However, that future is already here. We are already using those technologies to enable more precise targeting, having better ad personalization, and real-time optimizations. Advancements in data analytics can provide deeper insights into customer behavior, allowing them more strategic decision-making. However, nothing, in my opinion, beats experience and human-led strategy decision-making. That is quite actually the important bit here. However, as I said, don't think about the future and those new technologies as being something coming next, but actually they are here. It's just a matter of finding the best way to actually leverage them.
I think you're right, Lo. I mean, a lot of people talk to, will raise, what about AI? What does it mean? How are we integrating AI with the technologies? Our platforms are already using AI, and they have been for a very long time before AI was such a hot topic. And I agree with you, nothing beats not only human intervention, but experience within sectors, experience across multi-channel campaigns, and what else is happening for, a client. So I think for those clients and marketing leads listening, do trust your instinct as well and see yourself as a partner with that technology, with your agency, with those platforms, rather than thinking that they can completely lead and overtake what you're doing, because you will have knowledge, experience, and like I said, an instinct for what is right for your campaign, as well as, of course, leaning on the data. So not only instincts, but yeah, that's very important. Thank you so much, Lo. Do we have any other questions, Ginny?
We have one last question in from Lucy. Lucy asks, how often should you review and adjust your campaign strategies based on performance data?
Okay, I can take that one if you want. Lo?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I'd say at least monthly. We typically have monthly performance meetings, and that will be with our account managers, our clients, and often the actual performance practitioner who has been managing the campaign. And that's when it's allowing a good 4 weeks to see what's been happening. We can look at any optimizations we've carried out in that month, and we're then reviewing progress against what those KPIs were, depending what it is. And that's really a good time to start seeing what works. Now, often if something it's not uncommon that there might be a little bit of dip. Campaigns don't only in a straight line sort of perform onwards and upwards. Sometimes there's plateaus, sometimes there's a little dip, and then it really, really spikes. And so depending on where we are in the month, it might be a funny old time. It might be an off season or a really, really difficult time in the month. What we'll also see machines will like to do is, it's not uncommon for them to spend that first week in the month deciding what they want to do, learning again, and then you'll see for the next 3 weeks of that month, all of the good things happen. And so I'd say, again, it's that really strong trust and partnership with your agency and with that practitioner to understand that entire landscape when you're looking at your performance, because you might be panicking or thinking, hang on a minute, things haven't quite picked up. And then actually the following week they really do. So that's why there are times that we have not wanted to intervene with a campaign, because we know it's on the eve of doing something glorious. And we're essentially asking our clients, hold your nerve, give it a few more days, and we're quite sure it'll pick up. And 9 times out of 10, it does. So that's how they work. So we'd say, reviewing and adjusting maybe monthly, maybe less often if things are going really well. They don't always need major overhauls, but then thinking about the refresh, that's something that we can be doing regularly. And ultimately, it's not about what's going not well, it's also what's going really, really well, because we see success more times than we don't. And so learning from that and thinking, okay, we've had, you know, a bit more impressions than we'd forecasted, we've had more forecasts than we've forecasted, and we're seeing that it's this particular keywords, or it's the DSA campaign that's performing. Why don't we ensure that we're spending more budget? That's where that fluid budget allocation comes in. So there are so many ways that we can look at optimizing and improving, and there's no real one rule. But I think monthly is fantastic. I don't know if I've missed anything there.
No, I think you're perfect to join the performance team.
Yeah, well, I can come and work for you. Thank you. Any other questions?
That is it on the question front.
Excellent. All right. Well, guys, thank you. I know we've gone over, and that's clearly something that we need to get better. I think we've just got so much information that we want to share with you all. But I know there's been a lot of you here today, and I'm really, really excited that you've all come. Ginny will soon be sending you out a survey to so that we can kind of get your feedback. Please do send that back. It's really important to make sure that we can keep giving you content and information that benefits you in your role and with your company. And we'll send you all of the goodies that we talked about, you know, in this webinar. So thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you again in the next webinar.